Order.
Even now, these politicians will want that Ram Rahim can be used for political advantage once again.
India is still dealing with the fallout from last weekend when 38 people were killed as protests turned violent after a prominent sect leader, Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh, was convicted of raping 2 of his female followers. Singh, or Ram Rahim as he is more commonly known, leads the Dera Sacha Sauda, a religious order that claims as many as 60 million followers. Singh is a flamboyant character who has used the Indian airwaves to build a one-man publicity machine. Not just mainstream media, he produces and stars in his own films. He is what Indians call a Godman, one of many, and Singh's case has shed a light on how sect leaders conduct themselves and how they're presented in the Indian media. The so-called Godmen have vast, devoted followings that, as last weekend proved, are capable of violence. They tend to have friends in high political places, and journalists have reason to fear criticizing them. The reporter who first broke the story of Singh's sexual misconduct back in 2002 was shot dead and quickly. Singh goes on trial next month for alleged involvement in that murder. Our starting point this week is the Indian city where the verdict came down, Panchkula.
A huge convoy of cars has left the Sesa for...
The saturation coverage of this story began as the defendant, accompanied by a 200-car motorcade, headed to the courthouse where he would be found guilty of rape. Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh is no recluse, no stranger to the news media. Godmen, or Babas as they are known, are fixtures on the Indian airwaves. And that's been the case for Singh, despite the fact that the rape allegations, as well as suspicions that he ordered the killing of a journalist, have been hanging over his head for 15 years now.
When these media outlets were gloating about Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh and were busy promoting his movies, they knew this man has been accused of killing a journalist, is accused of rapes, is accused of extortion and other illegal activities. But they agreed to take him on news channels.
We, especially the Hindi channels in our country, play a very bad role in this.
Guruji, Baba Ram Rahim. Gurmeet ji, स्वागत है आपका.
Most of these Babas, we give them prime time slots. We promote them, we build them up. But we push them and push them and push them to the level where they completely, are all pervasive in public consciousness.
Anyone who violates law needs to be scrutinized. That's simple. It's as simple as that. But the problem is, just like the followers, both the media and the police treat Godmen as God. That's the story.
Or at least it was in Singh's case until he was actually convicted. He was airlifted from the court to prison. The authorities were well aware that 100,000 of his devotees had flooded into the city of Panchkula for the verdict. The Indian news media were among the targets of their wrath. Singh's followers may have felt betrayed because the moment he was found guilty, Indian news channels suddenly found their voice. It's as though, in the eyes of most of the media, Singh went from Godman to sexual predator overnight, even though it's been 15 years since the allegations against him first surfaced.
I
am neither condoning nor justifying these attacks, but the media need to understand that brainwashing audiences 365 days of the year will come back to bite them one day. So this attack on the media was not because of their impartial and courageous journalism. If they were indeed doing impartial and courageous journalism, this story would not have taken so long to come out.
Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh's story is pretty important and significant. It tells us many things about many aspects of Indian politics and Indian media. The media ignores the crimes and other criminal depredations of people who style themselves as Godmen. That's what it tells us. And media, just like the politicians, are afraid of the audience reactions.
The ultimate fear is the fate that befell Ramchandra Chatrapati, the journalist who way back in 2002 first exposed the sexual assault allegations against Singh and who swiftly paid for that with his life. It is notable that Chatrapati did not work for a national newspaper or news channel. He was with a small regional paper called Purasach. It seems the bigger the news outlet, the less likely it is to report critically on the Baba phenomenon. The best-known Babas, names like Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, Jagi Vasudev, and Baba Ramdev, have enormous followings. And despite the shady dealings attached to each of their names, media outlets which are ratings-driven and circulation-obsessed are as leery of alienating them and their devotees as Indian politicians are.
जैसे ही आपका सामाजिक पकड़ बनती है समाज पर,
As soon as you begin to wield influence over a mass of people, you start attracting the attention of political parties who want to align with you. And this is when the mainstream media get involved. To most people, the Baba is a holy spiritual leader, but in reality, he represents a lucrative revenue structure. And wherever there's a revenue structure, the mainstream media will invariably follow.
वहाँ वो चले जाते हैं.
These are all media-created Babas. I mean, it's very easy for a TV channel to give half-an-hour slots or an hour slot to any Baba and still, get a huge viewership. It's television on the cheap. Why make an effort when you can put a Baba on show, doing yoga or doing anything? Other than that, of course, the fact that the Babas are extremely powerful because of their nexus with politics.
Once this Godmen have the patronage of political parties and political parties are connected with editors, you know how system works. I mean, if you are doing that story, that Godmen will call that politician, this politician will call your editor. Okay, I got a call from such and such person. He's saying, are you doing some story against this editor? This Godman or something? Just be cautious. So it happens. It really happens now. It's a reality in newsroom.
Editors routinely reject all ideas of any stories to investigate Godmen, or they are afraid of losing potential readers. And these Godmen have links with politicians, so the reasons are multifaceted. So we end up having very little or no investigation into Godmen of this country.
Instead of providing critical coverage of Godmen, acting as arm's-length intermediaries, most of the Indian media treat them with reverence. It adds up to an institutional failing on the part of the Fourth Estate, for reasons that range from the economic to the political.
What is our job? Our job is to speak truth to power. Did we ever question when Mr. Modi, our Prime Minister, lauded him on Twitter, where he's the most followed person, that why is our Prime Minister extending such support to a rape accused? None of us raised that. It's only after the court came near a conviction that we got into this, very hysterical, totally over-the-top coverage. So the media, we need to ask ourselves as to what is our role in building up these people.
This is such a piece of drama. For the mainstream media, it's business as usual, reporting as they like. Only when they come under attack do they start questioning themselves and soul-searching. Suddenly, they're reminded that they are the fourth pillar of a democracy. Of course, journalists who report on these Godmen are wary of the backlash, but if they produce critical journalism which gets traction in the media, it will chip away at the strength of the Godman's following. So journalists need to take such risks.
One journalist did. He was killed over the story. It's the second part of that equation, the getting traction across the media part, that did not happen. Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh has another court date upcoming in that murder case. And the trial of the Indian news media, the big media, continues.